welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to continue with our French tutorials. Okay, in our previous lectures we did talk about the irregular verbs, and I mentioned a number of irregular verbs that are commonly used in our classrooms. Today I'm going to look at 3 other verbs that we need to know how to conjugate them, so that when we see any similar verb like them, conjugating them won't be a problem. And the 3 verbs are prendre, venir, tenir. Prendre is to take, venir is to come, tenir is to obtain. Tenir is to obtain. Okay, so we are quickly going to look at the conjugation of these 3 verbs. Then we move to the topic we wanted to treat today. Okay, so je prends, tu prends, il ou elle prend, nous prenons, vous prenez, il ou elle prend. Je viens, tu viens, il vient, nous venons, vous venez, il vient. Je tiens, tu tiens, il tient, nous tenons, vous tenez, il tient. This is the conjugation for prendre, venir, and tenir. Now what I want us to take note of in these 3 verbs is that there are other verbs that take these forms. Okay, for example, apprendre. For a verb like apprendre, if you are asked to conjugate, because we are seeing the verb prendre in the verb apprendre, so we are only going to take note of the conjugation for prendre. So what you would do if you are to conjugate apprendre was, we were just going to repeat anything that comes before the verb prendre. So we are just going to say, j'apprends, tu apprends, il ou elle apprend. In that order, nous apprenons, vous apprenez, il ou elle apprend. Because it is AP that comes before the verb prendre. Okay? Same like venir. If you see any other verb that is having the verb venir ending it, like souvenir. In conjugating souvenir, we are only going to make use of the verb venir, and we are going to repeat the word sou for all these conjugations we have done over here. And same like tenir. So if you have a verb like obtenir, we just take note of the verb tenir, and we are going to repeat anything that comes before the verb tenir for all this, and we repeat the conjugation for tenir. That is why I want us to take note of these 3 irregular verbs and how to conjugate them, because there are a number of verbs that take the prendre form at their end. Venir, like souvenir, revenir, and all that. Then tenir, we have contenir and obtenir, and other verbs that have tenir in their ending. Alright, good. So we are moving on to the main topic we had to treat today, which is time. So moving on to time reading in French. Okay, in French time reading, we don't need to stress ourselves so much. The only thing we are supposed to know is the numbers in French from 1 to 59. 1 to 59 because we have 24 hours and 59 minutes. So you don't need any number outside 1 to 59. But in our previous lecture, I treated how to tell the numbers in French from 1 to 60. And I suppose that if you are watching this video today, you have already watched the previous lecture, which is how to tell the the numbers from 1 to 60. And so we can move on to reading time in French. Okay, good. Now in telling the time in French, we are going to make use of the numbers we have learned in our previous lectures. Then some terms that we use when it comes to time telling in French. And some of the terms are these are general terms that we need to know when it comes to time reading, especially this. In telling the time in French, you are supposed to mention the hour, alright? So that if we have 2:45, in our previous lectures we have already learned, and we know that 2 in French is deux. You don't move on if you have not added the hour to it, because the 2 over here represents the hour. This is 2 hours 45 minutes. So in French, when you are telling the time, you are supposed to include the hour to tell the person that the 2 stands for the hour. So we are going to say 2 heures. 2 heures. Now we are using S because it is 2. So far as it is more than 1, we use with S. When it is 1, then we don't use the the S. Okay? And when it comes to 1, we don't say because it is 1 in French is un. Then you are going to say un heure. We are supposed to take note of the fact that the word is feminine. And so we are going to say une heure. When we are referring to 1, we say une heure instead of un. Okay? But that's not where we are. We are here. This is 2:45. 2:45, and you are told to bring it to French. You already know in our previous lectures that 2 in French is deux. Now we are saying that the 2 represents the hour. So we are going to say 2 heures, which is heure in French. Hour in French is heure. So 2 heures, in our previous lectures, we have learned that 45 in French is 45. 45. This represents the minutes. So we are going to say minutes. 45 minutes. This is how you tell the time in French. It's nothing difficult. This is just how you tell the time. So you realize that all you need to know is the numbers from 1 to 59. If you follow the previous lecture on this same channel, you are going to know how to say the numbers in French. Then all you have to include or take out is the fact that we are using heure for the hours and minutes for the minutes. When it is 1, we use une heure instead of un heure. When it is 2 hours upwards, we take note of the S we add to the heure to make it plural. Good. But aside this general way of telling the time, there are some terms that are used when it comes to the minutes. We have 60 minutes in French. Let's divide the 60 minutes into 4. You realize that 60 divided by 4 is 15 minutes. Okay? So we are going to have our first 15 minutes. Now our second 15 minutes is going to be 15 added to this one, which will be 30 minutes. Now the next 15 minutes is going to be 45 minutes. The next 15 minutes is going to be 60 minutes. And in French or in time reading, we don't say 60 minutes. The moment it is 59 and there is another minute adding up, it becomes an hour and it goes back to 0 minutes. Okay? So these are the 3 types of minutes that they can use a term to tell you in French. Now the term they use for 15 minutes is a quart. Because this is quarter. This is quarter of 60. This is quarter of 60. And quarter in French is quart. So a quart with quarter. Alright? So half, this is half of 60. And half in French is demi. Now in 45 minutes, there are two ways we can tell you, which I didn't state to a group of people I thought earlier, but if you are still watching this, there are two ways this can be said. Already in the previous statement, I did state the terms that are used in general, and I did tell us that there is plus, which is plus, there is moins. Moins is minus, plus is plus, a in French is and. A means and, okay? So now let's just make a normal French, okay? Alright? Another way they can tell you 45 minutes is they will add demi and a quart. Because we are saying demi, 15 minutes is a quart. Demi is 30 minutes. Now 15 plus 30 is 45. So another way they can tell us 45 is demi a quart. Now if you say demi a quart, it means 45. Now demi is 30 minutes. A is and 15 is a quart. Alright? So already we don't even need this. Demi a quart, this is a quart, 15. Demi. So demi a quart. 30 and 15, which is 45. This is another way they can tell you. If they tell you 45 minutes in this form, it is very simple. Now there is a tricky way they can tell you 45 minutes, which is moins le quart. Now moins, we said is what? Minus. Le quart is what? 15 minutes. So this means minus 15 minutes. So if you are told the time and someone tells you the time is 11 in French is 11. So 11 moins le quart. And you are told to state the time like this in English. Alright? You know 11 in French, in English is what? 11. Stands for the hour. Now, moins in French is minus, okay? Then le quart is 15 minutes. 15 minutes. So before you can tell the time, if someone tells you to say this in English, you are not going to say the time is 11 minus 15 minutes. No. You are supposed to do the calculation and tell the person the time. So how do you do this calculation? We cannot subtract 15 minutes from 11 hours. We are supposed to take 1 hour out of the 11 hours and turn it to minutes before we subtract the 15 minutes from it. Okay, so we are going to take 1 hour from 11 hours and we'll be left with 10 hours. Now the 1 hour we have taken, when we bring it to the minute side, it's going to become 60 minutes. Before we subtract the 15 minutes from it, then we are going to have 45 minutes. So if you see 11 moins le quart. Anywhere you are going to see moins le quart, you have to take note of the hours they are talking about. So you take 1 hour out of the hours they were talking about before the moins le quart, and you write 45 minutes corresponding to the remaining hours. I hope this is understandable. Let me go through it once again. If I have 12 moins le quart, moins le quart. Moins le quart we know is minus 15 minutes. And this is 12 hours. We cannot subtract minutes from hours. We have to turn 1 hour to minutes. So we'll take 1 hour from the 12 hours to be left with 11 hours. Then the 1 hour will come here to be 60 minutes. Then we subtract 15 from 60 to get 45. So anytime you see moins le quart, you are supposed to deduct 1 hour from the number of hours they have given you in the question, then turn it to minutes and take 15 from it, then you are left with 45. So another way someone will tell you 11:45 in French is going to tell you the time is 12 minus 15 minutes. But what he actually means is 11:45. Okay? So sometimes when the car is used to represent 45 minutes, demi-écart is also used. So if you see 12h30, 12h30 this means 12, 12 in French is 12. Demi-écart is 30 minutes and 15 minutes. So this means 12:45. But if you see 12h moins le quart, then this is 12 hours minus 15 minutes, which is going to be 11:45. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the terms in English. So sometimes they will give you a question and they will use the term écart instead of 15 minutes. So when you are told to state the time in English, you just have to know that écart is 15. So if you see 3h écart, you know 3 in English is 3. 3 hours, écart is 15 minutes. This is how you tell the time. So don't say you don't know what this is. If you see a demi over here, then it is 30 minutes. If you see demi-écart, then it is 45 minutes. But if you see moins l'écart over here, then the time is going to be 2:45. I hope this is understandable. Alright, so we are done with time reading in French, but let's just take note of this. 12 o'clock p.m. is noon. If someone asks you for the time in French, in English, you can tell the person it is noon. Now this is midi. So if you see 12 o'clock p.m. and your possible answers, you see midi, this is the correct answer. Now if you see 12 o'clock a.m., this is midnight. This is midnight. And midnight is minuit. Alright, good. Now the last thing I'm going to talk about is the fact that we generally know that there are 24 hours. 1 to 12, 13 to 24. This is GMT. From 13, it becomes 1 p.m. So 1 p.m. is 13 hours. Alright? And that is the concept we use in time telling. So 1 p.m. in French. In French, we use the GMT to tell the time. So 1 p.m. in French is going to be 13, which is 13. 13 heures. 13 o'clock. 13 hours. Alright? But there are days where we are confused. Okay? You have to take note of the fact that AM or morning in French is matin, while evening time is soir. So even though we are told that when it is PM in French, we use the GMT. So 1 p.m. we are going to say 13. There are days where they give us the time in the normal AM and PM in French. So if you see someone telling you that it is 2 heures du matin, no, du soir. And a normal circumstance, this is 2. 2 falls between 1 to 12. So this should be AM because we said 1 to 12 is for AM. 13 to 24 is PM in French. But if you see deux is 2. And you know that the moment it is 2, then it is AM. If it was PM, then we're going to say 14. But the person didn't stop here. The person said du soir, which means 2 o'clock of the evening time. Soir is evening. Okay, so there is no 2 AM evening time. So this is another way they can confuse you. So this is the same as 14. Alright, good. So ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of time reading. I hope that you subscribe, like, share, and comment. In our next meeting, we are going to talk about the greetings in French.